Good afternoon, everybody. Being the first non-coder at a tech company like Spotify, I guess you can imagine the trauma. This is also my first Slush, so go easy on me. I think I'd start by showing a little movie.
Darling, you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
But don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy now.
Slå mig hårt i ansiktet så får jag känna att jag lever. Skjut mig här och nu, för nu kan jag dö.
So, my name is Andreas Liffgarden, and my co-founder is not here. The guy to the right with the Zoolander blue steel look is Ola Sars. And as mentioned, I am one of the earliest employees of Spotify doing business development there, and my co-founder is Ola Sars, who co-founded Beats Music. So between the two of us, I think we have some pretty unique insights into what the next wave of growth in the music industry could be. The short story of it goes that Ola was trying to recruit me to Beats, and I was sort of trying to recruit him. But during a lunch in Stockholm, we sort of figured it all out, that there is something that we just need to do, something that is so exciting. And it's a sort of product that is logical when you think about it. If you saw Martin Lawrence's speech on the silver stage, he said that 3% is the idea and 97% is the execution. And we sort of concur with that because we have the simplest idea ever. The Spotify that you know is the Spotify Free and Spotify Premium, and is brought to consumers. So why don't we, on top of that, why don't we build Spotify Business and Spotify Enterprise? And that's exactly what we did. So Ola and I, we have built a team of 27 people. We got wonderful investors like Northzone, with Per Jörgen here, with Wellington and Creandum. And we have basically built these two products with a team of 27 developers. We have the CTO, ex-CTO of Frostbite, who builds all of the electronic arts title, for example. We have the guy, Henrik, who built the content ID system for YouTube. And we fundamentally believe something. We believe that music has value. Taylor Swift gate aside, we are firm believers that brands need to pay when they use music. Have you ever seen Spotify being used in a bar? Well, of course you have. Have you ever seen SoundCloud being used in a bar? Well, of course you have. Those are not licensed, and we are building the products that brands can use. And, you know, brands know that the right music will create better business for you. And the brands know that the wrong music will destroy your business. So music has value, music is important. It's just about how do we go out and harness this. And sometimes the simplest ideas come to you. At Spotify, when I was running business development, I'm not kidding, every brand known to consumer has at one point or another come to the door of Spotify and asked, how can I use Spotify in my locations? How can I use Spotify in my bar, my retail, my hospitality, my QSR, and so on. So when Ola and I started chatting about that, Ola said, yeah, it's the same thing with Beats. We go to see Nike, we go to see Starbucks, we go to see McDonald's, and they all say the same thing. We don't have a good product. That's why we keep using consumer products. The only problem was that at my time with Spotify, I was a firm believer in focus. And Spotify back then focused on two things and two things only when it came to business development. We did hardware partnerships and we did telecom partnerships, like the one with Telia, or as you say in Finland, with Sonera. And the amazing part here is that back then, telcos and the music industry didn't get along very well. So I took it upon myself to actually make them get along. And the way we did that was we allowed a telco to differentiate themselves with music and with a cool brand like Spotify. And the results were staggering. Spotify has 12.5 million paying users, and a lot of millions of those, not a lot of millions, but some millions, come from the telco partnerships. And we've been able to extract over $100 million of marketing on behalf of the music industry from the telecom vertical. So it was quite easy to see why we wouldn't go and do background music or elevator music or music. But eventually, once you said no 1,000 times, you start wondering, how do I go from no to a yes, and what could that mean to the music industry? So we started looking at that a bit more closely, and what we found was nothing short of amazing. It sounds like a clickbait almost, but we found an industry that the music industry forgot. So the music industry has been focusing on B2B for the last 15 years, combating piracy, but somehow the background music didn't follow. So first of all, you're all investors or entrepreneurs here, so you know how hard it is to find a niche that has not yet been digitized. All background music is sold by direct sales. There is no online component in it. I challenge you all, investors and entrepreneurs, to go and find a niche that doesn't have been disrupted by digital technology. So sales in background music is not digital. Amazingly enough, distribution is also analog. 66% of all background music that you hear is going to be played off a CD. This is 2014. The CD was commercially released in 1982, and they still use it. So we have a billion-dollar industry not disrupted in either sales or in distribution. We thought that was amazing. Unfortunately, the guy who buys background music is the CTO. So background music is on the shelf of utilities like internet connectivity, plumbing, electricity, alarm systems, background music. So Ola's and my mission, if you will, is to go there with a consumer platform and a consumer backend and capture the value of music. We believe that we have a better product. It's not CD, it's streaming. We believe that no other competitor in the background music space can build the backend that Spotify has perfected over 8 years. We believe that we have the biggest catalog of content. People actually don't really, I hear the words 25, 30, and 35 million tracks being used interchangeably around the consumer platform. It doesn't really matter anymore. Most music is on Spotify, whereas the closest competitor on background music has a catalog of around 3 million tracks. So we believe that is fundamental. We also believe that when the internet retail comes into the physical space, such as Amazon now looking to become physical, we believe that physical retailers have an increasing need to become digital. And using the Spotify brand and the platform that we build for enterprises and small businesses is going to be a huge difference. Bringing customers from the physical experience, driving them into the digital experience, and then back again. That's a big thing. So that's a little bit on the music side of things. But what about retail? What is happening there? What are the big trends in retail? Well, there's a couple of things. Let's go back 20 years. 20 years ago, that's when we started to digitize our homes. We got connectivity, we got the desktop computer, we got the laptop, then we got the phone, which became the smartphone, and then we got tablets. And we take all of this for granted. And those things are actually fundamental to us being able to build companies like Facebook or eBay or Google, which we also take for granted. If I were to make a poll in here and ask how many entrepreneurs' businesses are being based on an online component, I think I would have a 95% response rate. Flip that around to retail, which is a pretty much an analog affair today. At most, they might have an online payment system. So the digitization of retail is happening right now, and that's where we want to be. That's one of the key trends. Another key trend is the fact that bought media as a form of advertising is declining. Brands are increasingly asking themselves, how can we go into earned media, people writing about you essentially, or how can we go and use our owned media channel? Owned media channel typically meant your website. Owned media today also means your Instagram presence or your Twitter presence. But it also means that, hey, hang on a minute, I got stores. Do you know that McDonald's meet 90% of all millennials in the US every month? From one brand, they have bigger reach than commercial radio in the US. So imagine when you tell brands that they now have an owned media channel that they can use by using our technology. And they sort of, the penny drop moment for them then is, oh, wow, why are we buying radio at all? Yeah, why are you buying radio? So what kind of money are we talking about? How do we put this in context? Well, the background music industry is around $1 billion. So it's good enough to invest in. So you have undisrupted by digital, you got $1 billion industry, weak competition, that sounds good enough. And put it in perspective, the recorded music industry is about $16 billion. So $16 billion is what companies like Deezer or Spotify or Google or Beats or iTunes, that's what they managed to extract out of consumers in 2013. So $16 billion. Now let's compare that to the $550 billion that brands spend on marketing themselves every year. And they look to spend that money not on buying media, but creating storytelling and content marketing in their own channels. Our belief is that we can help the music industry capture the value, the true value of music, by going after the $550 billion. I think that's very exciting for the music industry. So Soundtrack Your Brand is trying to sit between what goes on in the retail industry with them trying to become more of a storytelling brand and also their transformation from analog to digital. The music industry, on the other hand, is asking themselves, okay, so now we have the established players. We have the Googles, we have the Apples, we have the Spotifys. It seemed to be a crowded space now. Let's see who's going to win that race or if they all three are going to coexist. But what's next? We believe that putting ourselves in the middle here, creating cool products for brands so they can differentiate themselves, is going to change today. And what we hope to achieve is, of course, if we take this little historical timeline of the music industry, where we start in the 70s, when the music industry actually was at a $16 billion. Then you have a format shift. You have the Britneys and the MTV era. The Pirate Bay takes it all down. Spotify helps it going up. And we, of course, want to be the extension of that, bringing things forward. So with that said, thank you very much for listening.